Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Kovac Enterprises. This is going to be episode number 1 in this series for the American Chopper V-Twin Custom. It's the 112 scale. If you look at the instruction sheet, the middle part, we're concentrating today with steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I started on. And of course, step 1 was the assembling the crankcase, and 2 is the assembling the mission case, and then 3 is the putting together the engine, and starting on 4 with the assembling the frame. So this is what I've gotten accomplished so far. We'll go ahead and bring the it's kind of a combination of the crankcase and the engine combined that I glued together. So hopefully you can see that. So all that is basically put together with some highlights that I used, especially around the engine part where the fins are. We used the metallic silver permanent marker to highlight against the black backdrop on that. So there you go. So you can see on the bottom parts the actual crankcase with some of its chrome fittings. And like I said, this is one side of it. If we flip it around, and of course this is the back side as well. And this is where we're going to eventually probably end up putting the spark plugs and everything on that side as well. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the engine looks like. I'll probably do a little bit more detailing on it to make it a little bit more realistic, but this is the start. So as far as some of like the bolts, we use the actual bronze metallic permanent marker to highlight those as well. So that's the engine. And then of course with step 2 with the mission case, this is what that looks like here. Let me see if I can, there you go. So there's your mission case. So just do a quick little turnaround there. Okay. And I'll just go ahead and bring this all in here. And then of course this is part of the step 4 with assembling the frame here. So that's what we got going on, like so. Okay. And then we kind of started with the V-Twin framework. Now remember, this is already kind of automatically molded in red here. This part right here, the instructions are calling for this to be red as well. So what I probably end up doing is just I'll probably do like a first coat of maybe some silver sterling on it, and then I'm going to kind of pick my own color red to go ahead and spray paint the entire frame, so we have like one unified color in the red zone. But that's that. And of course this chrome piece here is part of the rear attachment as well. So like I said, once everything is painted and everything like that, we'll be good to go and continue with the build. And with that being said, stand by. I want to kind of talk about the metric issue on some of the tubing here. So stand by and we'll be right back. Alrighty, so we are back, and like I said before, we are going to kind of delve into this metric part of the build itself. I'm kind of relearning about the metrics as far as the millimeters and centimeters and stuff like that. Going through the instructions themselves, there's actually several different letters for the tubing system and each of the panels of the instruction sheets. It goes from tube A through tube G. And I initially kind of like went online to look at some of the converter apps if I want to go from a millimeter to the inches. So as you can see here, I kind of made a list here of and wrote everything down pertaining to that issue. Once that was done, I went ahead and found a actual ruler that I had. Of course, one side is for the inches, and the side that you see is upright right here is pertaining to the metric side of this ruler here. So as far as I understand it, each of these little increments represents the millimeter, and you get 10 millimeters, and then it'll take you to the bigger numbers here, which is 1 centimeter. So every 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter, and so on and so forth. And you see how the metric system, keeps increasing as you go down the line. So after doing all this kind of research and writing stuff down there, I just happened to notice the other day when I was looking through the instructions again, I just happened to come across in my peripheral vision, especially here on the first page of our page 1 through 4. If you kind of look at the second panel, there's our first one, which is tube A, which is right here, pointing here to this tube. And of course, in parentheses, it says 180 millimeters. What I didn't know at the time, and I do now, is if you turn this page this way, right along the crease line here, it actually shows you a scale. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it says 0 all the way to the 180 millimeter mark here. So good to know after I did all that research that we can go ahead and line up our tubing that they gave us and just line it from the 0 to the 180, and that way we have a precise cut for the 180 millimeter for when we go ahead and glue this particular tubing to the mission case here. And it's kind of like that throughout the whole instructions. There's each panel, as you can see here, here's another one for this particular, I guess this was like step 9 and 10. You can, well, it's kind of hard with the light, but you can see here it actually shows you the 0 to 80 to the 80 millimeters here in relationship to where this tubing here goes. And of course, when I further read on the very kind of page here with the 11 and 12, it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 different scale measurements. We'll kind of keep this on the side here. So one of the panels, of course, we're going to have to cut it from the 0 to the 8 millimeters. So there's our little scale right there on the side of the instructions. The next one will be the 30 millimeters, and then we have another tubing that says 170 millimeters, but as you can see here, it looks like a misprint on the instructions where it says 80 millimeters. So I actually put my ruler up against it, and it actually is supposed to be the 170 millimeters. So that's actually a misprint, like I said. And then there's, of course, our last tubing, which goes to the end of the 190 millimeters, which you can see right here. So after everything was said and done, and everything I started out with doing was research on learning the metric system again, I see that the instructions actually have a scale that you can actually work with. So just in case anybody out there is working on this project, I missed it at first, and it finally found it. So that'll be a lot easier when I start the process of cutting the tubings for the for each of the assembly parts. So there you go. That's just want to kind of bring you an update on that metric part there of what I've came across, and I hope that helps everybody who is actually in the process of building this, if they haven't found out already. So with that being said, we will make this short and sweet and finish up this episode 1 here, and until next time, stay tuned for episode 2, where we keep progressing on this build. And again, I hope everybody has a good Memorial Day. This is Monday, and until then, we will see you on the next video. So until then, everybody have a good day, and this is Kovac Enterprises signing off.